I want to talk today a little bit about Shalom Bayit. This is from Rav Shimshon Pinkus, Alav Shalom. Very, very accurate, and these are things that we said previously before. However, I feel that he says it better than us, so we'll try to elaborate on what he says. A very fundamental concept in marriage is the proper education that we have an understanding on the essence of what we call unity, achdut, in marriage. In the Torah it says, "V'hayu lebasar echad," and they became one flesh. Many people have a misconception about those things, and that's one of the causes for divorces that we have and major problems in marriage. So from the pasuk "V'hayu lebasar echad," and they became one flesh, many people learn that there has to have a certain sense of unity in marriage, and everybody needs to. Everybody knows that they say that the husband and wife, everything should be one, and the actions should be one, and everything is one. And you are my other half. You are my sunshine. You are my other half. You're this and this and that. Blah blah blah. And it says that really a lot of problems in marriage comes because of this misunderstanding. What does one mean? And the concept and the thought that the husband and wife are really actually one. What he's saying is really amazing, and I hope you'll stay with us to see it. He said in reality, a husband and wife are two separate entities. There is the husband, there is a wife, even after their marriage. Also, when Adam Rishon was created, Chazal tells us in Masechet Eruvin in Daf Yudchet, that in the beginning they were created as one body, right? And they were created back to back. They were attached in their backs. And then Kama Kadosh Baruch Hu and did what? Vehefridam, and he separated them. And the essence of, or the purpose of marriage is to so-called unite those two individuals to one purpose. To one purpose. And that's, remember what I said to you yesterday. And the purpose is to establish a Bayit B'Israel, a Jewish home. And whatever comes from having a Jewish home means a house is going to be in Kedusha, and there's going to be Torah in the house, and everything in the house is going to run according to the values of the Torah, the values of Chachamim, and so on and so forth. That's the purpose. And by doing so, putting your effort and her effort together, you are building a bayit. You're building the house. By understanding that, that's how you fulfill v'hayu lebasar echad. Okay? Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, I'm building a house. I'm building a house, and that's my partner Yoshua, and we are building the house. But I know how to lay bricks, and Yoshua knows how to lay the pipes and electricity. But I don't want Yoshua to lay the pipes and electricity. I want him to do what I'm doing. So we're going to have a very nice house with bricks and everything, but no pipes going around because, right? We are building together. Each one of us is a different job. We're building together. We're using everybody's talents to build something together. That's how we became one. Then we say, we built that house. I came to, give my part, and he gave his part, and together this is what we call our house. This is our house. We built it. You understand? And people don't understand that. And what does it mean? He says like this. And he says when we say that the husband and wife are separated, that means that we need to acknowledge that everyone has his own personality, his own personal needs, and the things that he or she like, habits that he brings from his parents' house, habits and traditions that she brings from her parents' house, and that's okay. I mean, and even when you grew up in your own house, even when you grew up in your own house with your parents' house, sometimes you become a little different than your parents, and that you bring to your marriage. So basically, what you're asking here is you're asking for one person to give up completely his own or her own self, dismantle it completely, and basically satellite the other dominant part in the marriage. So that will be it, and that will be one. That doesn't work like that. That's a destructive way. If I tell you my way or the highway, and things in the house have to be according to me, that means that everything in the house has to be according to me. You have nothing to say about it. Whatever you want is not important. Whatever you need is not important. And everything has to be according to me. That's a one-way relationship. That leads you to a dead end. That doesn't work. And he says, for example, let's say, for example, comes a holiday. Rav Pinkus says, let's say a holiday comes, and the husband wants to be with his parents for the holiday. He does not acknowledge that maybe his wife wants to be with her family for the holiday. So he says, no, what do you mean? If I want to be with my family, therefore you have to want to be with my family. You have to acknowledge that. And we get, it's kind of a sidetrack, going back to what we said yesterday. A lot of those problems come because in the process of shidduchim, when you went to a shidduch, you didn't bother to read the signs appropriately, to portray those things appropriately. And said, listen, this is I'm looking for, and that's a huge problem because in shidduchim, most people don't understand that getting married is an opportunity for them to give, not to control and demand. That was, by the way, very quick davening. It's a little too quick, but So all of a sudden she says, what do you mean? We're not going to my parents? You always go to your parents. I want to go to my parents. He says, no. And that creates tension. When you say everything has to be my way, you're basically saying, cease to exist as you, and you become exactly me. So what did you bother to get married? When you're going to have kids, if you want to have kids like this, go ahead. Don't have a wife or don't have a husband. Go clone yourself. In the essence of having a kid, you understand that the kid carries the DNA of both parents. Half from mother, half for the father. Right? Biology major, right? The kid doesn't carry the identical DNA of the father only or the mother only. The essence of being one means recognizing the other half. And so and by the way, when you have people who are extremely controlling when it comes to that, most of the time means that they are very, very weak people. Weak people tend to be controlling. Strong people don't need to control. They have enough to control by themselves. They need to control themselves. They understand that. I don't have a need to express my control on somebody else. And if I do so, it only means that I cannot control myself. Therefore, I am going to substitute that need by controlling other people. So do you want to marry a controlling person who's actually a weak person? I don't think so. People don't want to understand that. And it says we need to sharpen the understanding and the feeling that inside one house, two people live, two separate people. Your wife has her own package of needs and wants, and so do you. You two individuals working for this common goal. That is noble, not two clones. And in this unity that you are doing together, people might have also different feelings. You might feel one thing about one thing, and she might feel something else about the other. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that, if argument's sake, If you like a certain type of music, your wife has to like the same type of music. Or if you like to, let's say, if you know to go traveling or to go hiking, your wife also needs to be obsessed with hiking as much as you. That doesn't mean that. Let's say she doesn't like to. Let's say she says, fine, I don't mind to give up for myself. Once a week or once a month we'll go hiking, but please, once a month I want to go to, I don't know, I'm not saying, but let's say for example, to go to the theater, I want to see it, or I go to the museum. But you said, no, that's only like me. And that's how things break. And this is and those people, and as we said before, the husband and the wife have the mamas and the papas, right? They have, he has a father, she has a father, he has a mother, she has a mother. So it becomes a whole collage of individuals that you're trying to make it work. And you don't want to separate her from a family or to uproot him from his family. Of course, we're talking about when family is functioning in the room and everything is okay, right? You have to understand that. So marriage is an act of balancing. And people don't want to balance because most likely people don't live balanced life. So if you don't live balanced life, it'll be very difficult for you to balance anything, including your relationship. And then as a result of that, you're going to have messed up kids, right? And the Torah says that the act of making a covenant between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Klal Yisrael, he says like this, "V'yikach Moshe chatzi hadam v'yasim ba'aganot." He took half of the blood and he put it in the paila, in the how do you call this? In the collective vessels, right? And the other blood he put on the mizbeach. He should have put all the blood on the mizbeach. Vayomer, and he says, "Hine dam habrit asher karat Hashem imachem al kol hadvarim haele." As you could see, the kritut of the dam habrit means sharing things together, splitting things together, right? Because we say why? Because hadam hu nefesh. The blood is the soul, and this is where the wheels of the person come about. This is the life of the person comes about, and is what it says in Masechet Avot, "Aseh kiretzoncha kiretzono." Your will should be like the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And the internal love should be towards V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, and by doing so, Hashem and Am Yisrael became one. We says, Mi ke'amcha Mi kamocha ba'Hashem be'elokim Hashem, right? And he says, Mi ke'amcha ke'Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, V'yigoy Echad ba'aretz. I'm recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu recognizes Am Yisrael. By the recognition of the other person, you become one. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not asking us to kill all the nations in the world, and we should be the only ones. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, there are many people, many nations in the world, but you are the one for me. I'm recognizing you as my people from all the other people. And we said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu the same thing. You are our God. Yeah, the other million Elohei Sheker, all kind of false God, but you are our God. When a person says, there are many women in the world, many, many, many beautiful women in the world, but you are my one. And I'm recognizing you as an individual, not you as a tail to me, or somebody who's supposed to dismantle themselves completely towards me. It's the recognition that the other person has wills, and you need to acknowledge the other person as an individual, as a set of desires and feelings and so on and so forth. You cannot deny the other side's feelings, and people don't want to do that, and you have to give up from yourself. By giving things up, you create a room to receive. If you are not willing to give up from yourself, you're not going to be able to receive. And therefore, if we said that marriage is the greatest opportunity for you to give, so you're never going to receive. And therefore you have no marriage, and then you have problems. He says, but the brit between a husband and wife is not done with blood, not like Am Yisrael. And it's not shayach to us to create a situation where our soul and our desires will completely dismantle and they will become one. The covenant between men and women is kiddushin, what we do. The ring or the kinyan or the obligation of the husband in the ketubah to mefarnes his wife, to take care of her, and so on and so forth. And they should have their property equal, and not one should control the other. You shouldn't be tyrants. We don't live in the caveman era. We have Torah. We should be different. And we need to acknowledge the needs, the specific needs of everyone out of true partnership. We are both equal partners in that. In other words, their responsibility is equal as well. It can't be that it's my greater responsibility than yours. You have your responsibility. We are 50-50 partners in this endeavor. We're not even 49-51. We're 50-50 partners. Because what you have to offer to the partnership, I cannot come up with. And you should acknowledge that what I bring to the partnership, to make this work, you don't possess. So therefore, the appreciation of one another, that's what brings that peaceful atmosphere in the house. But by thinking that you could substitute the other person, you know what? You don't want. I don't like you. Bye bye. Shalom. I get somebody else. I get a different woman, or I get a different husband. That's a recipe for a disaster. So you think that you can substitute somebody else. Therefore, you are not acknowledging the existence and the importance of this person. Since this person is not important, and therefore you're going to fail. And that's what he's saying here. I mean, this is different. And we need to understand and to always bring it up to the surface for us to understand that, for example, that the taste of food and the feeling that we derive is different. For example, let's say, I'm eating, I like to eat, lettuce, okay? And we spoke about tomatoes, okay? I like tomatoes, and let's say he hates tomatoes. So I'm going to tell him, what, are you crazy to hate tomatoes? Tomato with olive oil, a little bit of garlic on the side, some fresh, scallion, fresh homemade bread, a little feta cheese to dip it like this. That's heaven. He tells me, garlic, tomatoes. I said, well, you don't know anything. You're a buffoon. You don't know anything. No, okay, so you don't like tomatoes. So you don't like tomatoes. We don't argue about taste and flavor. That's it. You don't like tomatoes. I like tomatoes. That's fine. Nothing personal about it. Of course, if I'm going to be a very incompetent person, I'm going to attack it, because how could it be? Maybe there's something wrong with me that I like tomatoes and he doesn't like tomatoes. So I'm going to be very aggressive about it. I'll make fun of him, I'll put him down. And that's what we do in marriage many times. We want the other person, and I do believe, because we are very weak people, we want the other person to completely dissolve their identity to my identity. Because I don't want somebody to maybe challenge me, or, because I'm not quite sure about myself, maybe I'm right or I'm wrong, so how I'm going to do it? I'm going to invalidate you by making me right. And that's what most people do. Okay, so you don't like tomatoes. Okay, fine, so you don't like tomatoes. But, so how are we going to eat, Israeli salad with no tomatoes? You know what? It's more important, my relationship with you, between you and me, than the Israeli salads. I want to eat Israeli salads, I'll make something else. Instead of tomatoes, I'll put peppers inside. It's okay, You hate peppers also? Fine, okay, so we want to eat peppers, Okay, but do me a favor, don't make me sandwiches with cream cheese because I'm lactose intolerant. So he says, okay, fine, not a problem. I'll eat the cream cheese, and you eat the tomatoes. Okay, we're all happy. He's happy, I'm happy, we're all happy. But if you say, what? You made me a sandwich with no tomatoes inside. I'm taking you to the rabbi tomorrow. That's exactly what happens in marriage. That's exactly what happens in marriage. And he says it's impossible And it's not right for the husband to come back after a day of work and he's going to demand from his wife that he would feel what she feels. Because it's impossible for this person to comprehend that if he's suffering, what do you mean? My wife is not suffering? She should suffer as well. So I'm going to make her life miserable so she knows exactly what I'm feeling. But if she's suffering as much as you, or you're going to make her suffer as much as she suffers, as much as you suffer, so guess what? She will never going to be able to help you. So now you're both miserable, you both suffer, and now everything is bad. It's good. People want, when they get married, they want somebody who's identical to them. That's very bad. Because whatever problems you have, they will be magnified. Imagine you're a very impulsive person. So if you're going to take another impulsive person to be with you, oh my goodness, you're going to be bouncing around like nitro glycerin. You know, you're going to be exploding. Now, you're going to have very unstable. One day you're going to live in Hong Kong. Next day you're going to move to Scotland. Impulsiveness. You need somebody to balance you out in order to keep the course. That's the way it is. But we don't want that because we are so weak. We don't want to allow anybody who is different than us to be in existence or in our perimeter. Or God forbid, there will be somewhat of a challenge to us. So we have to either pick up somebody exactly like me or somebody that I know. Right? For example, it doesn't make a difference how bad your mother was. You most likely, unless you are a strong person, going to pick a woman exactly like your mother. Because you don't want a woman who's going to challenge you. And that's why you, a woman, have to cook exactly like your mother. Because you don't want to be exposed to new cuisines and new food and new flavors. And then you're going to tell me some kind of like, hot garbage. It's all about tradition. I'm maintaining the tradition. What tradition? Tradition. Tradition is a soup full of sodium. That's what tradition is. And the woman is going to pick up a guy just like her daddy. So if the guy is a weak guy, they got used to manipulate everybody, and then he had a manipulating mother, he's going to pick a woman who is going to be just as manipulative, so he will feel good, because he's substituting his mother with his wife. Okay, it's good to be a shrink. You can make a lot of money like this. But that's exactly what Rav Pinkus is saying here. Different is good. Acknowledgement of the different is good. Variety is terrific. Look, how many of our genetic problems could have been solved? And there's a person has Tysiek, this one has blooms, this one has this. Why? Because we never bothered to marry, a Sephardi guy? Oh, I'm sorry, he's a nice guy. Such a nice guy, such a Talmid Chacham, such a Ben Torah, but it's Sephardi, we're not taking him. Oh, me? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not taking anybody for my daughter unless he's some kind of a Rebbe Unkelite, whatever it is. How do you call this? How do you call a Rebbe's grandson? Enkelite. What? Eneklach, whatever it is, He has to have some kind of like a Hasidic Rebbe's whatever, scent in his DNA. God forbid I'm going to take forget Ben Torah is important, but the Sephardi Ben Torah to my daughter, no, it has to be Hasidic. That's my thing, It's all good. I'm a very open-eyed person. Besides, when it comes to that, guess what? That's when I had kids with the nose in the ears. Well, what's the big deal to crisscross? I mean, aren't we all Jews? I don't know. It could have fooled me. I would have thought we're a different nation. Oh, so your mother makes an unbelievable Moroccan fish with tomatoes and spicy with bread. Your wife will make you filter fish. Oh no, she has to be like my mother. Okay, so next time marry your mother, you little edifice. Well, what's your problem here? So change. Altogether, cook, I don't know, something else. Cook Cajun cuisine. What do I know? What do I care? But it has to be identical. And then you're going to tell me it's all about traditions and maintaining and kind of shtuyot like this. And you make up things as you go because you're very, very weak. Continuing, Rav Pinker says, the unity in home reaches completeness and reaches status of the way it should be only when each one from the couple, from the husband and wife, will understand and would recognize that in this house two people live. There's not one person divided into two. There's two people, two individuals with two weeds, and we need to pay attention that, of course, that the family of the wife is a different family. You know, they're different than you, and everybody needs to be. You have to treat them b'derech shel kavod as well, right? And your shver, your father-in-law, is not your father, right? And your mother-in-law is not your mother, and your brother-in-law is not your brother. They're different, and everybody has the kavod in which they deserve. And sometimes you even need to go away. You need to separate yourself from your parents' house and her parents' house if it's going to be beneficial for you to grow. If you have very restrictive parents, there are certain parents that doesn't make a difference. If you're married and you already have a kid, you will still have to report to them what are you doing with your life. These are parents that you should pack your stuff and go to the other side of the world. Or at least the other side of town. These are parents who would not allow you to grow and develop because you need to report to them all the time. These are horrendous parents. They might be good people, but as parents they're horrendous. So sometimes you need to go away. You need to move out from this. You need to go away. And sometimes this distance would actually bring unity. Because if, for example, your father keeps telling you all the time, so what do you do? What are you doing yourself? What do you do with school? How much money you bring? Say, listen, Dad, with all due respect, right? Or he will tell you, let's say, for example, you're becoming a doctor, okay? And your father said, so you're going to finish next year? Very nice. We're going to open an office for you, and you're going to work. He said, listen, Dad, I'm going to finish in a year. With all due respect, I love you very much, but I'm going to go to travel the world in a caravan. Dad, I'm married. Thank you very much. Up to here. So now you're going to start fighting with your dad. And then you're going to have separation because you're really into each other's veins. And sometimes you need to break apart to create distance in order to create unity so everybody can grow and understand and appreciate the other person. And we don't do that. And that creates problems between husband and wife. Your mother doesn't stop telling me how bad I am. And then, of course, if your mother comes and tells you all the time, your wife is a nice girl, however, she's very messy. Or, she's sloppy, or she doesn't cook well. You should tell her, Mom, with all due respect, shut up. That's it. Our marriage is my wife, don't speak about my wife. I'm okay with it. It's okay. Thank you so much. Okay? And he says, he brings a very, very nice, we'll finish with this, he brings a very nice story from Rav Shach. Shalom. He says that the story, some heard that the couple separated because of some stupid argument that they had. So he called the husband and he told him that his obligation to talk and to treat his wife is as if you were talking to me. Rav Shach was Gadol Ador. And you don't come to the Rav Shach and you talk to him like a little, pipsqueak or you disrespect. He said, you're talking to me with respect? Fine. This is how you should speak to your wife. Respect means acknowledgement of importance. When you don't give respect to someone, you disacknowledge their importance, their validity. So therefore you're allowed to step on them. Pay very, very close attention to how you talk to people and also how people talk to you, because it will tell you a lot about the way they interact with one another. If somebody talks to you and you talk to him with disrespect, you like this with him, there's a lot that tone carries. And in the marriage, there should not be. This woman tolerates you and so on and so forth. She is your wife. You are obligated, and therefore you need to treat her with utmost respect as you would speak to Gadol Ador. You have to respect your wife. And she has to do the same thing to you. There's no room to sarcasm in marriage. There's no room to sarcasm, period. Sarcasm is for cowards. You want to say something, say it. Don't be sarcastic. Passive-aggressive is for cowards. You want to say something, say it. Don't be passive-aggressive. You're a coward if you're passive-aggressive. You're weak and you're a coward. So sarcasm and stuff like this does not have room in marriage. And it has to be out of respect and acknowledgement of importance. When you're going to do that, and you understand that the other person is an individual himself or herself, then you're going to have Shalom Bayit. You don't need to have 50,000 lectures week after week about stories about, I don't know from where, about Shalom Bayit, Shalom Bayit, Shalom Bayit. It's a crock of whatever. Shtuyot, it's a waste of time and self-propelling agendas. You want to have Shalom Bayit, understand that your spouse is an individual with wishes, with wills, with wants, and you are too. Understand that this is an opportunity for you to contribute out of respect, and you're building something together. Don't expect the person to be you, and don't become the other person yourself. Allow the other person to make you into a better person, and try to make the other person a better person as well, by contributing, by respecting, by acknowledging. The worst thing you can do to a person is disacknowledge his existence, by disacknowledging his wills and wants and so on and so forth. And he says something very interesting. He says that lack of understanding and the importance of the relationship, the proper relationship that we bring to people, brings to big disasters. Little things bring to big disasters. And when they're not going to argue on little things, most people argue on pittance, on small things, insignificant things they argue. It says sometimes it's just give up and be quiet and let it go. So, okay, what's the big thing? Is that worth an argument? Is that worth an argument? It's not worth an argument. Look at if you are arguing, for example, sending the kid to Talmud Torah, sending to public school, that I understand, that's worth an argument. But for little thing, for shtuyot, don't argue about these things. Give up. She will give up, and you will give up. Why did you make me the same food twice? It's okay, what's the big deal? You don't like it, you cook, darling. Or take it to a restaurant. I mean, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. Or the food didn't taste so good. So okay, so it didn't taste so good. But this woman went out of her way and cooked for you. What have you done for her lately, darling? So okay, so it doesn't taste good. Eat it. At least somebody did something for you. More than you had done. And by the way, the same thing applies to us with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whatever we carry, it's a relationship, we carry it as well like this. And he says when he got married, when Shimshon Pincus got married, his rabbi told him, don't get into who you're going to give the kibbud between your father-in-law and your shver. You concentrate in Kinyan Kiddushin, concentrate on what you're doing now, what is ahead of you, what does it mean, the Kinyan, to do the proper Kinyan Kiddushin, and so on and so forth. In other words, don't deal with the dust, with the not important things. Deal with big things. In other words, don't start arguing about those things and so on and so forth. And for that, you need to have a person who really is understanding what this is all about. You want to have Shalom Bayit? Listen to what I told you now from Rav Pincus. Listen to it time and time and time again. Practice it. And you're not going to get divorced. You're not going to have fights. You're not going to have arguments. You're going to have a house that is harmonious, out of respect and out of kavod. You don't do that, you can keep on going to Shiurim and Shalom Bayit every single day of the week, and you're not going to have Shalom Bayit, and that's a guarantee. Have a good day.